guys, welcome back to another video. Today my video for today is going to be Murderous Monday. And the reason I'm calling it that is because we're going to be talking about serial killers. And today I'm going to be talking about one particular serial killer. His name is Harold Frederick Shipman. And he was imprisoned and convicted of killing 218, at least 218, and a lot of people think that it was a lot more. So I have notes here because I want to make sure you guys get all the good details, but I don't want you to know that I'm looking at notes, because then I don't seem cool, We have to make this like Shane Dawson approved. Okay, so he was born January 14th, 1946. He was a middle child, and he was his mother's favorite. His mother's name was Verda, and she adored him. She actually put him on a pedestal, and because of that, it made him think that he was better than everybody else. And it made him a loner in the end because of that, because he just thought that he was like this big, mighty dude, and thanks, Mom. Anyways, his mom is later found with a terminal lung cancer, and, the son wasn't, like, okay, oh, another thing, they called him Fred, so that's just what I'm gonna call him, but Fred was not, like, empathetic that his mother was dying whatsoever. He was like, okay, he was actually fascinated that his mother was on morphine, and he just, like, he couldn't get over the fact that that was helping her deal with her pain, and it caused so much problems because of that. But in a sense, it also made it good because he decided that he was going to go to medical school after his mother died. And I think, just in my personal opinion, I think that was probably him thinking that he could do a better job as a doctor. So he applies to a medical school, and he surprisingly got in. And I guess I shouldn't say surprisingly because most serial killers had very high IQs. But he goes to this, let me look at my notes real quick, and it's called Leeds University, my bad. He goes to Leeds University, and he goes and takes his entrance exam. And I looked that up for medical schools of what an entrance exam is because I didn't know. And it came out and showed me an MCAT. That's what they're called. And I think that I'm wrong because you can't fail that test. It's like physically impossible. You can get a low score on it, so maybe that's what happened to him, but he failed the test, and because of that, he actually became an apprentice to somebody instead, and that's how he got his medical degree. Or he just, like, I don't know how he got in. I didn't really look into that so much, but he got in, he graduated, he got his PhD, and he became a doctor. But while he was in that whole process of becoming a doctor, he met his soon-to-be wife, Primrose. And they were married. He was 19, she was 17, and she was 5 months pregnant. So they're married, they have kids, and by 1974, he was a doctor. So, he finally made it. I think he also had 2 kids at that time, but he was also at that time addicted to, it's a really weird painkiller. It's probably not weird, it's just weird to pronounce. It's pronounced pethidine? It's something like, it's a weird, like, I don't do medical terms. But he gets this, and he's completely addicted to it, and he's been forging, like, signatures so he can get it for himself, and he's just completely, like, an addict. But he finally was caught in 1975, so 1 year of being addicted. And because of that, he goes to a rehab center, and he tries to get off of this addiction. I'm pretty sure he did not get off the addiction, so what you gonna do? But, after that, he became known as a hard-working, like, trustworthy doctor. And he had tons of patients, he was like this big man up high on his pedestal because of his mom. Like, what you doing, Mom? But she's dead now, so it doesn't matter. but he's known as this really good doctor. And then later on through like this phase or this part in his life, the local undertaker, I guess what you can call him, is noticing that Fred's patients are just dying at a really high rate. Like all his patients are just dead. And he just Fred tells them, he's like, no, it's fine. Like, don't worry about it. They're sick. They're dying. It's not me. And then he has another doctor who comes, and her name was Dr. Susan Booth. And she notices that a lot of his patients are dying too. And she's like, why are all these people dying? So she brings it to him, and he says, no, it's fine. But then she alerts the police, and it goes into this big investigation. And he's caught. He's been, his reports aren't matching up with the doses of morphine that he's giving his patients. He's not Moses, my goodness. But they just notice that, and it's like all hectic, and they're like, how did he get so much? And they're just piecing it piece by piece, and more is just coming. But I'm sorry, before I get to that, he wasn't caught until one of the patient's daughters, whose name is Angela Woodruff. She was a lawyer, and her mom was somebody who passed away because Fred killed her, and she's dead now. But she notices that, and she didn't believe that her mother would just die because she died. So she's looking into it more, and she finally broke down the case, and she figured it out, and she was like, this was definitely the doctor. Sorry, I have to turn my page. So he killed his clients by overdosing them on morphine. That is something that, and I think that morphine can definitely be a good use. Anyways, sorry, I took a little break because there was a part I wanted to cut out, but yeah. So back. Anyways, like I said, he killed his clients by overdosing them on morphine, which is definitely something that I think you should use for medical uses to, as a painkiller. But the way that he was doing it is he was killing them. So his case and trial consisted of 3 parts because that's how big of a deal it was. That's how many people he killed, and it was just redonkulous, okay? But it consisted of 3 parts. I don't know what the 3 parts are. I didn't look into that. It was 3 parts though. 3 parts. And it was a lot. So he killed mostly old people, and I personally believe he killed old people because it's easier to get away with. You think, oh, they had it coming anyways. They were 94. And then, it's easy to overlook. But thank God for Angela. And she figured it out. She was an awesome lawyer, and she solved the case, I guess, in a sense. So when they were looking at his case and his reports, they noticed that he, not everything added up. And then they looked more into it, and they looked into the amount of morphine he used and all that. And they think that it was at least 236 patients, but then a high judge looked more into it, and she said it was at least 318 patients. But that's, oh, did I say 300? I think I said 300. I meant 218. But that's out of 500 patients that he had. So he killed almost half of his patients, which is ridiculous. But then he's been imprisoned this time, and because of that, I think it probably got to him, realizing that he was going to die, and he hung himself in his cell. He used the sheets from his bed, and he tied it to, a window, and then he hung himself. But a conspiracy theory of his death is actually somebody murdered him and just made it seem like he killed himself. So, who knows, and I mean, maybe he was murdered, so. But that is all that I have for this video. All the information that I got was from a website that I will put in the description below, so I'm not, you can't copyright me and say that I took this information from myself, because I didn't. So I will see you guys when I decide to post again. Bye!